Ladies and gents, the last time I tried filming any of this style of content, it backfired on me massively. However, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I figured I'd give it another go. Over my shoulder is my wife's 2019 Toyota 4Runner. This is a 5th gen 4Runner. Now, I should also mention, for any of you Toyota folks watching this, my apologies. I am no expert on the generations. I'm actually more familiar with the old school Land Cruisers, FJ40s, FJ45s, so on and so forth. However, we have owned this for a few years now, so I'm fairly familiar with it. Now, it was time for this unit to get some new skins, and I just recently went out and bought some. Prior to buying these, I did a little online homework, and I found there was a lot of back and forth on how big a tire you can run on one of these units, especially without a lift kit and on a stock wheel, so on and so forth. Well, I like running experiments, and that's what we're about to do today. Right, so here's the new skins, mounted and balanced. And those of you familiar with Toyota 4Runner rim options, you know that this is one of the many rims that they offer from the factory. So this is a 20-inch tall wheel, and I believe it's 7 inches wide. We just finished taking off a set of Toyo snow tires. They are strictly a winter tire. We've been doing this for many years now, going back and forth between snow tires and summer tires, and I'm so sick and tired of the back and forth. So I decided to buy a proper set of BFG all-terrain TA KO2s. These are a great tire. I've ran them on a lot of different vehicles. Great traction, snow, shine, mud, rain, whatever. They are a beautiful tire. Now, where the issue comes in with these tires, or at least the size of them, is these are a 275/60R20. Now, the tires that I told you I just took off of here, those worn out Toyo snow tires, were a 275/55/20. So we're going a little taller, okay? The difference between a 275/55/20 and a 275/60/20 is about an inch. And where that inch gets factored in is from the center of your hub, you gain a 1/2 inch up top and you gain a 1/2 inch down bottom. With the worn out Toyo tires, the 275/55/20s, we ran those with absolutely no problem. No rub, no nothing. They fit beautifully. And for proof of concept here, I'm going to show you there is absolutely no lift kit in this vehicle. It is bone stock. Now, I think you probably take my word for it. I don't have to show you the back, because why the hell would the back be lifted if the front wasn't? But there is nothing in here as far as raising the suspension goes. So when I went to buy these, there was a lot of back and forth online how, one, you can't run a tire this big on a stock wheel. You're getting outside of the manufacturer's specifications. And technically, the wheel might be a little skinny for this tire, but we're not going to worry about that. We're more worried about the height, because a lot of people were arguing that you just cannot run this tire on a stock suspension. It's too tall, it'll rub, so on and so forth. And I like a challenge. So, and also, I found them online on Marketplace for a pretty good price. So I'm like, what the hell? Let's give it a go and we'll figure it out. So we're going to be mounting these guys up on this 2019 5th Gen 4Runner and just see how well or not so well they fit. Ladies and gents, well, here we are, the big reveal. 33-inch tall tires on a stock height Toyota 4Runner. 5th gen, again. And I'll be honest with you, they look great. I mean, I'm a fan of a little bit more poke in my wheel tire combination. These do sit inboard a little bit more than I would like, but they're the stock wheels, right? What do you expect? Now, we are definitely filling the wheel well. Oh, and I should mention, the only thing that is a little off in this, and I mean, geez, it's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch. I've got my quick trick alignment turn pads down under the tires because obviously I want to steer these and I don't want to dry steer them on the cement here. I just hate dry steering anything. So these are ball bearings inside of them and they just allow you to steer smoothly. So when you're doing your alignment, you know, you got to do stuff like that. Anyway, so that's the only thing that's a little off with this, but I don't think it affects anything. It's actually going to help us because I want to make sure these clear when we steer. One more point I wanted to make. Some of you that watch the time lapse probably seen me using the old Ugga Dugga machine here. Well, just in case you're wondering, guys, I do not get after these things and throw, you know, 1,500 foot-pounds of torque on it. I got it set on 1. I more or less just use it to spin the nuts in, give them a quick little bump, and then we go around with our torque wrench, get them to spec, right? So now we got to make sure, I don't think the rear is going to be any kind of issue. It's more the front. And one more thing I should add is this vehicle is a kid sports mobile, right? So about the most extreme off-road case this vehicle ever sees is my wife going through a Starbucks drive-through and driving by Braille and kissing every curb. So we're not by any means heading out for some, you know, hardcore off-road Binford 9000 African Safari in this unit. She's a mall crawler, okay? We're just going for looks here. Anyway, with all that being said, let's fire this thing up, start turning the wheel, and see if we got any issues. So the ball bearings are so smooth on these quick trick skid pads. I'm just going to lock my steering wheel at full lock so I can actually have a look at how the clearance is here. I mean, it's tight, but we probably got an inch, 3/4 of an inch in the back here. We'll go around and check the other side in a minute, but we'll just check both directions on this side first. Whoa. Okay. We're definitely tight here. That's going to be an issue. And while we're steered this way, let's just go check out the other side. So yeah, the back's pretty good. I mean, yeah. Lots of clearance in behind. It's gonna be more the front. I'm gonna grab a light here so you guys can see a little bit better. There's our issue right there. Okay, and we'll just check the other side here with the light. And it's actually not as tight but we're still gonna most likely have a little bit of a rubbing issue there. So, well, I'm committed. I'm running these tires, so we got to do some figuring here. And I think I got a way that we can fix this without dismantling and or changing the OEM function of the wheel well liners. Okay, now before I get too carried away with this whole proof of concept that I'm working on here, I thought I'd explain to you just what it is that I'm up to. So I've removed one piece of the lower valance plastic here. Now, this is going to be a little tricky for me to lay on the ground and have enough room to show you what's going on, but maybe I'll start from right here. Okay, so I've taken and drilled out one of these little plastic rivets here, okay? This guy right here. Because what I did was I turned my wheel and I figured out just where it was where things wanted to rub. Now you can see there I've put a couple of Sharpie marks. It's like right here is where the tire rub comes from at full lock, okay, to the right on this side. So gave myself a mark and then went, okay, I got to find a way to bring this in. And I don't want to cut it, right? I'm not into like changing the overall OEM look or feel of, well, anything really, unless it's absolutely necessary and you can do it in a very clean way. So what I've done here, again, drilled out one of these plastic rivets. This is the remnants of the one I drilled out. Okay. And I've stuffed a little push pin through there. Now, I'll show you this from the backside in a sec, but just so you got an idea of what it is I'm talking about. So, it's one of these guys. Okay. So this is the center push pin that goes into one of these, you know, whatever the hell style of clip you call them, all right? And now I've also drilled a 7/64 hole through it, okay? And I'll show you why I've done that in a sec. So, that center of that push pin is pushed through both of these wheel well liners. And let's see if I can get you up in here and show you. All right. Let me get a better angle here. Sorry, folks. So there's the back side of my push pin, and you can see a little piece of mechanics wire hanging off of it. So that mechanics wire has been threaded through that 7/64 hole that I drilled in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a heavy duty zip tie. I'm going to run it through my mechanics wire, and I'm going to pin it over to the front end of the bumper in order to just put all this stuff back in place and show you from this angle. Really need a cameraman. In order to pull on this and pull it in, okay? So I want to pull it in so I can clear that tire. If not, we're going to rub here. And I'm sure a lot of people thought, well, if you want to run a big tire like this, maybe just buck this off of here with a cutoff wheel. Well, I'm not into doing that. So push pin, mechanics wire on the back side through a 7/64 hole. And then I'm going to have a heavy duty zip tie pulling this wheel well liner in to give us more clearance. All right, ladies and gents, it's a moment of truth. Now, I wish I could have showed you more of what's going on inside of there, but like Toyota, man, I mean, it's great that their wheel wells are so sealed up, but like, it's like they just put put pieces of plastic just for the sake of putting pieces of plastic. I mean, you can barely get your hands in there. You got to be a bit of a contortionist. However, it can be done. I'll maybe show you the overall layout of what went on there. I mean, it's not too different from what I've already shown you. I just used 2 zip ties and ultimately pinned my wheel well to the front bumper support. Okay, so 2 zip ties from the front bumper support back to that little center push pin that I showed you with the 7/64 hole and the piece of mechanics wire off of it, and you just pull it all together. But anyway, let's just see if this proof of concept works before I go any further. All right, sorry folks, before I fire it up, I just wanted to show you one more time. So there is all you see, okay? Heck, it even almost looks like one of those little rivets, just without the little rivet center in it. So that's the push pin. I've got it pulled, I mean, relatively tight, not outrageous, but I also didn't want to go through the whole process of unbolting all of this stuff underneath it, like from the lower valance. And I should just show you too, all of this stuff is back in place. Okay, so everything, I could maybe tighten that one a little bit more, but anyway, like this is the piece I took off. I hope you guys can see that. This is the piece I took off in order to reach my arm back up in here and pull my zip ties and everything else. These were loosened off, right? These 2 bolts, that push pin, these 1, 2, 3 bolts. Okay. And, anyway, you get it all up in there, and I put these 2 back in before I tighten my zip tie. And then I started pulling on my zip ties, and then ultimately had to put this back in. So all of your OEM pieces go back in place, and, yeah, we just kind of pulled on the wheel well a little bit. Now, with that said, let's get you guys set up here. Get my light out of the way before I run it over. And we'll fire the car up and make sure that this all works before I go yapping any longer. Who knows? Maybe this is a big dud. We do. Oh, beauty. Look at the clearance we gained. Like an absolute obscene amount. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I don't know, that's a finger's worth or so. But like, oh my God, we almost gained 2 fingers worth of clearance without cutting anything. Just giving it a little tug with a zip tie. That's beautiful. All right, folks, I couldn't help it. I wanted to give you one more look here because I know a lot of you are probably going to be like, well, you showed us the one side. What's the other side look like? So here we go. This is obviously before being tied up, but there's that push pin pushed through the little plastic rivet that I drilled out. 7/64 hole drilled in it with my mechanics wire. And I just wrap my mechanics wire together. And then I got my zip tie through there. And then I'm going to run another zip tie in and around through this bumper support, okay? And I'm just gonna kind of pull on both of them, gonna eyeball it, and just kind of give myself a little bit of room. It's not much. I actually need less on this side than I did on the other. The only thing you got to worry about here is we do have the washer fluid reservoir here, so might not get as much movement, but that's okay because the passenger side doesn't need as much as the driver's side. So that's how that looks, okay? All right, passenger side's done. I'm gonna fire the car up. We'll crank on the wheel and see how we made out. Oh yeah, look at that. We got all the room in the world now. Well, ladies and gents, like I said, I enjoy a challenge, and I think the challenge has been completed. We're clearing 33s, and the only victims in this whole ordeal were these two tiny little plastic rivets, which I'm sure you could probably track these down somewhere, local parts store, maybe Toyota, I don't know. But we didn't do any cutting, we didn't do any massaging, we didn't do any trimming, nothing, right? Just drilled out two little rivets, and we got all the clearance we need to clear 33s. So it can be done, and you can still maintain your OEM overall look. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And hey, you know what? If you did, you very well might enjoy a video. I'll give you a link for it, okay? It's one that I did. I've been struggling with brakes on this vehicle. And this was way before we started running 33s, right? We were still running like 31.5s. Anyway, check that out, because I think I may have figured out it was more of a brake product than it was a brake issue with the 4Runner. But, and why I think that is, the video that I've linked for you, it shows you just how fast this thing is burning through brakes. And when I had the wheels off of this thing to go get the tires swapped on it, I went through the brakes, and we went, oh geez, I don't know, probably almost a year. And like, we are back to normal wear, okay? So I think it was more a product thing than anything. Anyway, I went through, lubed the sliders, right, on all four corners, and gave everything a tune-up. And just because we do live up here in Canada, and this stuff can get corroded and nasty and whatever. Just make it so your brake system doesn't work properly. So I did all that before I put the wheels and tires back on. Anyway, all that being said, I'm going to torque these up. I still got to go get my wife so she can drive this thing home tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please share it along. That's why I do these videos. I love to try to give back and help out wherever I can. So thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Take care. Bye for now.